Welcome to Turning Inward. I am Rebecca Pulvey, your co-host, and I'm here with Dr. Vivian Carrasco. This is the fourth episode of our summer 2015 season. We'd love that you are here and found us. Today, we will be having a conversation about imagine.
This podcast offers you the opportunity to explore new perspectives through compelling interviews with beautiful human beings and words of wisdom and love. This show was created to guide and inspire you. If you're looking for more meaning in your day-to-day life, if you're looking to be wowed by everyday people, if you're on a journey to joy, peace of mind, freedom, or a wild new adventure, then honey, you are in the right place. Welcome to Turning Inward with Dr. Vivian.
Hello, Vivian.
Hello, Rebecca.
How are you today?
I am wonderful. How are you?
Oh, Vivian, I am just wonderful also. I'm fabulous. It's been a beautiful, sunshiny day here. It's just lovely.
Awesome.
And
Awesomeness.
Yes. I'm really excited to talk about our word today, our word imagine. And, I want to tell you that I sat quietly just for a few moments, and I just like to close my eyes and think about the word before I kind of work on it a little bit. And I have to tell you, guess what came to me first? I thought, when I think of imagine, that word, I think right away, in the Love.Being.Human experience, that I want to imagine a wonderful outcome or experience, something, that I want to be able to see or feel that new experience. And I thought that that's really important to me, to be able to imagine things in a different light. And one thing I thought of is that I thought, I can imagine or picture in my mind that there's like this light, this shining light that flows full of love from my heart. So that was just like first thing when I was sitting for the first few minutes, and it was just really positive experience thinking about imagine.
Oh, that's actually very beautiful, but it brings something to mind that I think I have to make a distinction for. So, okay. Love.Being.Human, the experience of Love.Being.Human is to see things in a broader context, to have more sort of like 3D versus 1D. You know how you're looking at a screen and you can see something that looks a certain way, but if you're touching it, then it has different textures and maybe smells and sights. So it's to bring a more holistic view to things. So the situation that came to mind is somebody passing, like if somebody dies. Like that is not a positive experience, and there'll be some pain and grief that we'll go through on this level. But overall, in the Love.Being.Human experience, because it's a natural sort of movement, and they are, in my opinion, moving to a better existence than we have here. So in that case, it wouldn't be positive. But if you looked at it from sort of a wider lens, from a 10,000 foot view, from the spiritual perspective, and not only on our human experience, then we could have a sense of peace in that process, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
So the ideal for me isn't, and the ideal for Love.Being.Human isn't, this. It almost like the ideal pushes itself out into a broader area. So when you and I were working at the chamber and working on specifically with industry making the community better, that was a smaller sort of circle. And it's the same fashion that the entire U.S. economy and then the world, so it's just making those circles bigger and bigger and bigger so that we can see that we're interconnected and that one thing does not end another. So we could have a meaningful, joyful experience, but it might not be happy.
Okay, Vivian. Well, I think I understood quite a bit of what you said. That was really different from the way I was thinking, but can you expand on it a little bit? Because I know the way I was thinking of what was shining from my heart, but it felt, are you saying there's different levels, different outcomes? Maybe that's what I was hearing when you take Imagine within the Love Being Human experience.
Well,
I was a little lost.
I think I was too, because I didn't know I was going to come up with that. But what came from what you said was this idea that the ideal is always joyful. I mean, that the ideal is always a good outcome, or that the ideal might make you happy.
Okay.
So the ideal, we can strive for the ideal that we think. You can imagine sort of out into the future for something that we want to achieve or get, but it might not be good in the sense of our mind, and it might not be comfortable in the sense of our experience, but it will be the best thing for that situation.
I get it. Oh, thank you. I get it. That makes a lot of sense to me. It really does. Vivian, I think I want to tell you something. I know we're going to keep talking about Imagine, but I just have to tell you how much I love our words and the conversations. I think this is just, it's been the most, I want to say it's a loving experience of sharing. I'm not afraid to share my words with you and tell you what I'm thinking, and I'm always open to learn and find a different way of thinking about that word. I know I'm going to carry this experience with me forward in my life, and I thank you, Vivian. I think it's beautiful.
Well, and I have to say this on record, because I've said it to you off the microphone or away from the microphone, but there's been so many people that have said the exact same thing that Rebecca said or responded is exactly what came up to my mind. So it is this conversation of conversion. Like, we each inform each other, and that's what happens in real life. That's the sort of magical thing that happens when you're in a relationship with someone, or when you have an experience with someone, is just being open to being there and being present, and that's what we're doing. And I think that I've said this to you before, that we are serving as role models to how that can be. To maybe have one idea of how something is, and then if you're open to it, then you possibly could see it a different way.
Absolutely. Oh, I agree. I love that.
Another example that came to mind, and this very much relates to you and how you live your life, which I absolutely admire. But I think in our youth, we might have wanted to lose weight or get in shape for, to look good, or to wear clothes a certain way. And as we've both, I don't know what word to say other than aged.
That's okay.
As we've grown up,
as we're so lucky to get older.
Yes, to have had so many more experiences in life.
It's true.
I eat better. I take care of myself so much better, and it has nothing to do with the size of my jeans.
Nope.
I mean, there's some ego there, I'm not going to lie. But it has so much more to do with my vitality and the level of energy that I have. And so, again, that is the same sort of ideal, but with different levels of meaning behind it.
Oh, that's perfect. I love when you explain it like that, Vivian.
Now, I would not mind at all if I could get back into my old Guess jeans from 20 years ago, but I don't know that that's going to happen, and it really doesn't bother me.
That's good. You know what I told my husband one day? I said, I have gained and lost the same 10 pounds so many times. I should name each pound. They should have a name.
Yeah, but we're doing it for different reasons now, and I think that's that sort of that deepening, that seasoning that happens to us, and so we want the best. We don't imagine the best outcome, but we might not. So that's why I'm gonna stop talking, because now I'm just.
Oh, but I get it, Vivian. That is beautiful. And I thought about something else. So maybe this fits in some way. I think we can let our imagination run away from us.
I like that.
it can be positive or negative, right? Like you were just talking about. And so I think, to me, it seems like imagination is a very powerful tool. So
Oh,
I'm thinking
goodness.
that, yeah, very powerful tool, imagination.
It's more powerful than we realize, that's for sure. I see it as the brush literally on the canvas.
Oh,
It is the tool that creates the picture. And I'm actually really curious now when you said our imagination can run away from us. I wonder where that came from, because every saying really has a lot of truth behind it. Like when we say, I knew that in my gut.
yeah.
Like we don't know where that came from, but scientists have proved that there's a brain in our gut. So I wonder where having your imagination run away from you. I see that as a good thing. Your imagination should run away from you. It should have its own adventures almost. Because it's the brush that's painting the canvas. We're co-creating this experience. And without an imagination that runs away from us, there is no way to sort of push out to that ideal, to that thing that isn't now, but that we're not waiting for, if that makes sense.
It does. I had to share something my husband said to me. I think it fits with what you just said. You tell me. He said, I was sharing with him. I love to sit and talk with him before, and kind of tell him what my thoughts are on this. And he said to me, he said, imagination also releases free thinking without restrictions or limits. You can imagine anything you want if you allow yourself to do that. He sees imagination as a source of invention. That doesn't surprise me at all to hear that way of thinking from him. It really is so Esco. My husband is that just so him. I thought that was really interesting. It releases free thinking without restrictions or limits.
Yeah, it opens a space of possibility. And to move it back, because I wanted to mention Einstein, but I'm going to bring it back down to very practical sort of imagery for people. If you look at your fist right now and you close it as tight as you can, that is not having imagination. If you open your fist and you sort of spread your fingers out and just gently cradle your hand, then that is imagination.
Oh,
that is, sort of receiving and co-creating, like an open hand, to accept and to give offers, like just experiences back and forth. If you have an open hand, you could hold somebody's hand, you can pick something up, you can do all these things with an open hand versus a very closed, tightly clenched fist. There's only so much you can do with that. And that closed fist almost elicits different emotions than an open hand. And that's what happens to us when we can move in and out of imagination.
I love that, Vivian. Opens a space of possibility. When we were moving to China, my husband's dad was a huge unknown. I mean, you're talking a this little person that I really hadn't done all that much traveling. And, I decided and imagined that there were going to be a lot of possibilities. It just popped into my mind when you said that. And it was in my heart that it would be a very interesting chapter in our life. And it really was. I had amazing experiences and learned a lot. It was really more than what I imagined it would be. So I think also, I think that imagination can be our dream or hope of the future. Do you think that's true? That we're dreaming or hoping of the future, Vivian?
Definitely imagination. But the distinction that I want to make, especially within Love.Being.Human, is that you can have that vision, that hope, that dream for the future. And you can also use it as a guiding post, sort of towards the direction that you're taking. So it makes your choices easier because you know what your ideal is, what you've imagined to be. But the main thing is that you're not losing the presence of the moment. You're not losing the gratitude that you have in the experience right then. And I'm trying to think of an example. Well, for the first example I want to bring to mind is Jacob. Jacob graduated high school and he had some really tough decisions to make. But when he'd ask me about his decision, I'd say, does that lead you towards or does that lead you away from what you've imagined for your life? And, you know, in my mind, I wanted to say, that is not the right thing to do, Jacob. You know better. But when I said, does that lead you closer or farther away from what you want for your life? He said, well, you're right. It leads me away from it. And I said, so then does that mean that you're probably making that decision out of fear or out of love? And that's really as easy as it is. You're either going towards love or you're moving away from fear. And in that case, he was moving away from fear, which was his body's ideal. Like, let me be safe, let me be protected, let me be not have any risk, you know. But that wasn't his true ideal. That wasn't the most loving, best direction to take. You know, so that's why the Love Being Human has that infinity loop, because we're constantly moving towards and away. But when we have an awareness of what we're doing, then we might make a different decision. So when Jacob brought his awareness back to why he was wanting that, he realized that it wasn't towards his ideal. Instead, it was to keep him away from his fear.
So I love that. So also imagine is awareness and taking another look.
Yeah, being here now, but looking at what that's going to lead you towards. So your imagination can give you the sense of direction. You know, it can make your decisions easier. It can bring you more clarity because you know what your ideal is.
Oh, Vivian, it's beautiful. I love that.
Did we change our word from imagine to ideal? Because I find myself...
I think it might have shifted a little bit towards that.
Well, I think subconsciously I keep going back to the mastermind, you know, because the mastermind's title is Imagine Your Ideal Life or something like that. I don't have it in front of me.
Yes, I think it sounds familiar. Yeah, I don't...
So we want to imagine what we think is, whatever we imagine is our best, there is better even beyond that. And so if we don't imagine big, then we don't have sort of a sense of which way to go. It's like imagination being that, what is that thing in the ocean that guides ships?
Oh,
lighthouse.
Yes. I could visualize it. I could see it, but the word wouldn't come. And I could see it.
It's like if imagination were a concept, it would be the lighthouse.
Ah, oh, I love that. I love the way you describe things.
Yeah, we're ships that are moving, that have a better sense of direction because of the lighthouse. And we know if we're going towards the lighthouse or away from the lighthouse.
And we can imagine towards the future.
Yeah, but without losing a sense of where we are now.
That really makes sense. I love that. I love that, Vivian. It's beautiful.
Because one of the things that I know from my experience, the whole point of turning inward, the reason turning inward exists is because I went through this, what I call the dark years. But because I stopped looking at what was outside of me that could make me happy, because it never quite hit the mark. And when I turned inward and did that inner work and found meaning in that inner experience, nothing on the outside changed. But I was so grateful for, it's almost like I finally could savor life. Like I could finally fully taste through every sense that I have, everything that I was able to live right now. And it doesn't change that I want this or I want that, but I no longer say when I have this. Or if I do this, then. There's no if then. There's no when. It's that would be nice, and I can see myself moving towards that direction. But in the now, I'm experiencing this, and I can have those same feelings that I'll have when I achieve that, when I get that, when I do that. I can create that state now, and I have it. So if I don't enjoy it, then I'm not fully tasting life.
That is beautiful, Vivian. This has been a wonderful conversation today. And I think if you enjoyed the conversation, we'd like you to join our inner circle at viviancarrasco.com. We'd like to thank you so much for being here with us today. And also, I want to remind our guests, that our listeners, that our next podcast episode is freedom. I'm looking forward to that. And if social media is more your thing, we have a Facebook community called Within You University. I encourage you. It's a private Facebook group. You can search for it. And there you can connect also directly with Vivian. You can reach out to her through the website. And Vivian also does individual coaching. If you need more intense or private coaching, you can just let her know. And I would like to close with a final thought from Vivian. Like freedom, love demands courage. To change the love we receive, we will have to change our capacity to give love.
Thank you for joining us today here on Turning Inward with Dr. Vivian. If the show moved the needle for you, please leave an honest review in iTunes. And also make sure you cruise on over to viviancarrasco.com and join us for personal strategies and tips to help you move forward. Ciao, baby.